Okay. All right. Okay, well, there might still be some people rolling in, but that's okay. We'll just kind of get started. So welcome to Treasures 201. I'm Joyce. Thank you for coming. And so a little introduction for me. Yeah, I'm Joyce. I'm the 2021-2022 District Treasurer, and I was previously on the Five Fund Committee, and also the term before that, I served as UC Irvine's treasurer. Yeah. Um, just a little bit about me is that like I can be pretty awkward or like I'm not the best at public speaking. So if I do like stutter or if I go too fast, you can like let me know in the chat. You can PM me or just say it in the chat, and I'll like slow down. If you have any questions, you can always ask and I'll always answer them. All right. Yeah. So if you already went to like any treasure workshop or treasure fundraising workshop before, the information is basically going to be the same here. Just try to condense this down a little bit, make it a little shorter for you. Yeah. I'm also not very fond of online icebreakers, so I didn't include it in this one, but feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the Zoom. All right. And then just to start, we'll talk about some treasurer responsibilities. So some important things are, collecting and submitting your club dues, creating budgets, and then managing and recording your finances, just to make sure, your club is in a good financial state. And then managing your bank accounts. This could be your service account or admin accounts. Usually clubs will have two separate bank accounts, one for service and one for admin. Yeah, so the service would usually be for like charities and admin would usually be for internal funds that could be used for your budget. And then be the clubs and club members' financial advisor. Just help out your club when they need help with finance and just like have a presence, because I think having a presence in your club is also going to increase your reliability. Yeah. And then approving or denying your reimbursements. This could include like reimbursements from your budget or gas reimbursements. And then also you want to hold fundraisers. If you don't have fundraising chairs, you would have to hold fundraisers, like you'd plan them on your own, or you could also like support your fundraising chairs. You give them advice or you just give them support. But there's also some clubs that may have like ad hoc fundraising committees, and you would also help them out too. Yeah. Moving on, some important things to remember. So every fiscal year begins on October 1st, and just know that Circle K is a 501c4 nonprofit organization. So we are social welfare and our donations are not eligible for tax deductions. And then each club has their own like tax code. And then this is inherited from Kiwanis. And so it does kind of overlap with 501c. Sometimes people get confused between what the two is, but you just want to remember that we're 501c4. We're also tax exempt and recognized by the US government, and you don't need to report your income. So having the status, though, requires you to fill out the 990N form each year. If you forget to fill it out for 3 consecutive years, your club loses the tax exempt status. And if you are one of those clubs that lost your tax exemption status, just know that it's okay, because there's a few clubs who also don't have their tax exemption status anymore, but it still works because we're under the Kiwanis, and Kiwanis still has their tax exemption status. All right. Next thing we'll talk about is membership. So yes, again, collecting like district and international dues. This is the dues breakdown, basically, if you don't know already. Your international fee is dependent on the type of institution you're in. And then there's a $10 membership fee per member for the district fee. There might be a change to the international dues structure after the Kiwanis Education Conference this summer, but we can talk about that later. Just so you know that there might be a change because it's going to get voted on over the summer, and it might be in effect like maybe towards the end of the year or for the next term if it does go into effect. And then just know that your club has to pay your dues between October 1st and November 30th. Don't pay it before then because that's not when the window opens. So you want to pay your dues after the window opens in October 1st, and you want to pay it by November 30th. Yeah, because paying these dues will also allow your members to go to district events like FTC and DCon. It is not required for CrazyCon, so you don't have to worry about that part. All right. And then next, so you do pay your dues from the membership update center. You should have login information either from your predecessor or you have like your own login information. If your secretary updated the emails, then you should be able to log in and you can manage your members. So basically here you can see there's the membership update center. You want to go here, and then your dashboard will basically show your general club information, gives you like the address of where you are, or like shows like your, I think it was 4 or 5 club officers. I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't remember what's exactly on there, but yeah. And then members will let you update your members. This is where you're gonna be, this is like the members portion is gonna be like the most tedious part because you search like, or like you add a member, you want to add members in bulk, just because when you add them in bulk, it doesn't tell you to input like email. No, it doesn't tell you to input like their address and like birthday. So if you do it in bulk, it just like there's less information you have to input. Yeah, so choose members. And then after you add your members, you go to finances to pay like your dues and to see if anything is owned. What I remember is that you can't like pick a certain amount of dues to pay first. It's like however members you add is going to be however much you have to pay if you want to pay. You have to pay it all at once. Yeah. All right. And then moving on. So some ways to collect club dues. First way, cash. It's one of the easiest methods, and literally you don't need anything but a cash box and some change. But the con of that is that it's really hard to trace, and it can be a hassle to carry, like if you have a lot of things, you know. And then for card, you can get like a Square reader. And then it's good for people who don't carry cash because I think now, well, there's like, I think most people like to pay like online or pay with their card. So you can use like Square. However, there's like a 2.75% charge for each purchase or transaction. I feel like it adds up over time and it's really just not appealing if, you know, people are like losing that little bit of money each transaction. And then there's also like online methods like PayPal or Venmo. These are both really easy to use and almost everyone has it, but just know that some methods aren't approved, but we can also talk about that later. Yeah, PayPal has been used. We've been using PayPal recently for our online district events. So I think a lot of people have gotten used to it, which is pretty good, but there are times that people will run into issues with PayPal. But so people prefer Venmo. Yeah. All right. And then just some tips. You want to like set deadlines. Like it's really good to set early deadlines for your members to pay their, for your board members to pay their club dues earlier. Just so you kind of keep track of that first, because if you have a lot of members, it gets hard to keep track of near the end. And you want to incentivize your members to pay their dues early. So, for example, if members who pay by a certain date, then they can have like free Crazy Comp registration, because Crazy Comp registration isn't very expensive. So that's something that could be affordable for some clubs. Or if like you can also incentivize them by having the board do something. So if 30 members pay by a certain date, then board members will do like mayo mayonnaise face masks, or they can get Photoshop eyebrowless profile pictures, or like, pie the board or something like that. Those are all ways to like incentivize your members. Yeah. And then you also can establish payment plans if you need. Sometimes people feel like dues are pretty expensive. So if you feel like you need to, you can help them plan, like make a payment plan. And you just want to make sure you keep track of that too, just so that they actually pay their full membership. And then just know that you can still submit dues for members after November 30th, but for the sake of, international, try to do it before the 30th, especially if members join like before then. But if they join after November 30th, then it's fine to add them after. There is a certain date you want to add them by in the spring. I think it has to be before decon though. Yeah. Right. The next event registration. So this is gonna be mostly for like district events, which are like Crazy Con, ST, yeah, well, you already did STC, but FTC and decon. So again, you want to set deadlines. Try to set like a hard deadline. Try not to be too lenient on it, just because if you're the one who's registering everybody, if you're like club representative that's registering everybody and you're being very lenient on it, it can be very hard for you to actually gather all the stuff you need by the time you need to actually submit it. And then, yeah, plan your promotion, like plan it. You don't want to start promoting something like a week ahead, especially if it's like STC or decon, because it takes a while for people to decide whether or not they want to go. And yeah, it's just, there's also like waivers that go with it. So you always want to plan ahead. Like once FTC or like decon is released, you want to start promoting it by then already. So you can also give people time. Yeah. So just know like when your members should hear about the event, and when the money and forms should be due, and how you're going to collect the dues. Especially, I think it's going to be very different if it's going to be online versus like in person, because this past term we had everything online. So yeah. And then collect your forms, so your waivers. I think this past term everyone submitted it online, so it was pretty easy. But in the past, we've also have to do it physically. Like we had to print out the physical forms and actually mail in the forms with a check to CNH Circle K, to the district office. So if that is the case this term, if we do have in-person events, then you want to keep in mind that you're going to have to take some time to also send it through mail, or you could also drive to the district office to submit your forms, but it takes time too. So you can consider sending it through the mail. You might want to consider the express shipping, the 1 to 2 day shipping. So you can also get a tracking number, and it also confirm that like your registration is going to get there in time. Right. Next, budgeting. So when you budget, just make sure you're using your spreadsheets. If you need any like resources, they're all in the treasures and fundraising resources folder too, which I'll share later. All right. When you're creating your budget, think about an ideal budget and a realistic budget. So your ideal budget is how much money would you like to give each chair or event, and how much are the chairs asking for? And then think about like, do you want to improve the projects, or do you want to like implement something new? And what project, and like think about if you are going to have any projects that are going to bring internal funds, like your admin funds. And then also think about the realistic budget, like how much money does your club actually have? And how much internal funds are you do you normally raise through the year? Like take a look at like the trends from the past few years. And I know this term it's going to be different too, just because we went from in person to online, and now we're kind of going into like a hybrid mode. So it's going to be a little different. So you might want to account for that too. Yeah, so like think about whether or not you can afford the same budget as the previous year, and think about how much was spent the last term as well. Yeah. And when you create your budget, you want to make sure that you you can overestimate how much you spend, but don't overestimate the amount that you think you're gonna earn. If that makes sense. Right. And next, fundraising. So fundraising, there's different types of fundraising. So the first way to kind of categorize them is charitable fundraising versus administrative fundraising. So charitable fundraising obviously is going to be like for charities, and then administrative fundraising is going to be for internal funds. So this could go toward budgets and like reimbursements. And then when you're fundraising, you want to explain to your members where the profits are going to go to, because I think sometimes members want to know where it's going to, because they don't want to just spend money just to spend money and not know where that money is going to do. And if it is a charitable cause, make sure to educate them on the cause. It makes it more meaningful too. Okay. And then fundraising is also divided into like the scale of event. There's multiple ways. I think the scale of event is kind of like, or there's multiple factors to the scale of event, which includes like the amount of money you're raising, the amount of audiences you're trying to get, and just the amount of time that you need to put into. For a small scale fundraiser, it'll raise like usually around like up to like $150. This can include, like for in-person, could be include like tabling. And then for a medium scale, it can raise a few $100s. This would probably require like a few days to weeks of planning. And then there's also a large scale fundraising, which has a lot more profit and more audiences, and can raise up to thousands of dollars. And you would want to plan these at least like 3 months ahead of time, I say. Yeah. I know this past term, a lot of clubs did bingo cards. Bingo cards can raise a lot of money if you have a lot of people with the bingo card on on Instagram, right? And then I would consider that small scale just because it doesn't require really any planning. It literally just requires you to post the bingo card on your story. Yeah. And also make sure you create spreadsheets for your fundraisers to keep track of everything. I think one of the most important things in being a treasurer is just keeping track of everything. And then also consider like your goal, how much money is needed, or how much money like do you want to reach, and how many people do you need to help you like plan this event, and then just check like the rules for your campus or like Circle K. Okay. And then next, going into, so these are our district fundraising initiatives for this term. know that PTP and Kiwanis Family House are our permanent DFIs. It could change in the future. We've always had PTP and Kiwanis Family House as our DFIs. And then we always have a rotating DFI. And this term it's going to be Project Cure, which they are like, they donate like health supplies to people who need it. And then there's also the Governor's Project, which we approved this past district board meeting. It's going to be the American Cancer Society. So this is also one thing that your club fundraising can also work towards. And when you do raise money for the DFIs, you can get, sorry, I'm stuttering a lot. You can get recognition for it. So like we usually have awards at FTC and Decon. So, you know, if you want to reach a certain goal, you can always try to fundraise for a specific DFI. All right. Then some resources. So most importantly, the TFC resources folder. So it's the tiny URL. It has the TFC manual, which is pretty long, but it's pretty easy to look through, I believe. And then there's also some templates and letters that you can look at. And there's also some workshop slides from previous workshops that you can also look at to help you. Yeah, so there's the link. And then other resources include your fellow treasurers. So everyone in this call, most likely, hopefully we can all help each other out. And then also your predecessors. I bothered my predecessor so much when I was a treasurer. You know, don't be afraid to ask people for help, honestly. It's better to ask. And I'm sure if your predecessor, you know, like, will try, I really hope that they'll try to like help you as much as they can, especially if what was I saying? I just lost track. But yeah, your predecessors should try to help you as much as they can. If you have any questions, you can always ask them because they know your club more than everyone else in this room will. If that makes sense. And then district treasurer, I can also be a resource to you. If you have any questions, you can also ask me. Sign up for one-on-ones with me, please. And then, yeah, so I'll be willing to answer any questions for you too. You can always like email me, message me on Facebook or something like that. I'll try my best to answer your questions. All right. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, so again, if you had any questions, you can email me at the treasurer at cnhcirclek.org, and or you can like again message me on Messenger, Facebook if we're friends, and I don't know, Instagram, LinkedIn, something like that, whatever you want as communication, you know. Yeah. Do we have any sorry, this workshop ended pretty early, but do you have any questions on anything? Is there anything I can answer for you? Does anybody do any of you need links to anything? Yes, Sophia.
Oh, hi, Joyce. First of all, wonderful presentation. Thank you for all the information. My question is, since treasurer, you probably have like a lot of spreadsheets and like documents and stuff like that. So I was wondering how you keep them all organized and easy to find and accessible for you.
I always had them in my Google Drive, and then I would just separate them. So I would like have folders for different events, and then like folders for like just general, if there's things that like the board, my board members needed to see, then I would have a folder for that too. I think just having like folders You just want to have folders. Yeah. I hope that helped.
Thank you.
Mhm. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, yeah, don't forget to sign in. Get your hours. I hope I didn't stutter too much where you couldn't understand what I was saying. Thank you. Appreciate it. Um, well, that's great. I really, oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I was so nervous, but